In Japan's terrifying folklore, there is a ghost that no one dares to face. Gashadokuro, also known as the giant skeleton ghost. This is a colossal spirit created from the souls of those who died of starvation in war or poverty and were not properly buried. Gashadokuro is towering, with sharp bones and a terrifying sound that echoes through the dark night, causing anyone who sees it to tremble in fear. It silently walks along deserted roads hunting for victims to devour, causing death to those unfortunate enough to cross its path. But Gashadokuro is no ordinary ghost. It carries an immense grudge, embodying the restless souls that have not been at peace, yearning for revenge for the pain they endured in the past. Would you dare to step into the darkness and face Gashadokuro? Can you escape its giant skeletal grip? Or will you become the next victim in this horrifying tale? Gashadokuro is no ordinary ghost. It is the result of the hatred and suffering of thousands of souls that have not found peace. These souls were not properly buried after their deaths in brutal wars or prolonged famines. They died without burial, without graves, and this lack of respect prevented them from moving on to the afterlife. Accumulating deep pain and resentment, these souls began to merge together, forming a creature so massive that humans could not even imagine it. Gashadokuro, the bone monster, was born from the skeletons of victims who perished from hunger and were not given proper burial. It is not a typical ghost, but a physical creature, towering and terrifying, made up of thousands of discarded bones. At night, when no one is watching, Gashadokuro silently roams the desolate roads, unnoticed by anyone. With its enormous mouth, it hunts for unfortunate victims to swallow, grinding its bone teeth to create a chilling sound, signaling the approach of this monster. The lingering grudge of the restless souls continues to drive Gashadokuro on its horrific journey. Gashadokuro, the giant bone monster, has a terrifying form that no one can imagine. Standing at a height of 15 meters, it is several times taller than an average person, resembling a towering skeleton walking through the dark. Each of its steps echoes like the wind blowing through dry trees, a chilling sound that thickens the air, making anyone who hears it feel as though they are being watched. The bones of Gashadokuro are sharp, like blades, ready to slice through anyone who falls within its sight. Its eyes, though not clearly visible in the darkness, still emanate a cold light, making anyone facing it sense the approach of death. Its bone teeth, sharp as razors, can easily tear apart any object that comes near it. When Gashadokuro moves, the sound it makes is not like ordinary footsteps, but the creaking of thousands of dry bones controlled by supernatural forces. This noise resonates like a howling wind passing through hard, cold objects, causing anyone who hears it to feel the biting cold and darkness surrounding them. What makes Gashadokuro even more frightening is its ability to move silently in the dark. It can glide without making a sound, like an invisible ghost, so you don't realize its presence until it's too late. It is an unavoidable creature, like bone-chilling winds waiting to swallow you whole into its bottomless mouth. Gashadokuro doesn't need to chase its prey. Simply approaching is enough to kill ruthlessly in silence, then retreat into the shadows, leaving no trace behind. The silence of Gashadokuro, combined with the sharpness of its bones and its ability to strike unexpectedly, has made this monster one of the most fearsome creatures in Japan's supernatural tales. Gashadokuro, the giant bone monster, is unlike any creature known to man. Everyone in the village knows that whenever Gashadokuro appears, strange phenomena begin to occur and a wave of fear sweeps over the entire area. But the strangest thing is that no one knows where it comes from, and no one can explain its sudden appearance. At first, everything seemed normal, but soon after, villagers began disappearing mysteriously. They left no trace behind, no footprints, no signs of a struggle, just a complete disappearance. Panicked families searched tirelessly, but all efforts were in vain. The missing people simply cease to exist in this world. On late nights, when the air is still and everyone in the village is fast asleep, a strange sound begins to echo. It is the eerie screech of bones, as if skeletons are scraping against each other, producing a chilling sound that makes the surrounding air turn cold and ominous. This sound is not an ordinary noise, but a long, screeching cry, as though a giant monster is moving in the dark, watching every step of the surviving villagers. Those who were fortunate enough to survive an encounter with Gashadokuro could never erase its terrifying image from their minds. They live with an indescribable haunting for the rest of their lives. On late nights, when they hear the sound of bones scraping in the wind, they shudder and can't sleep. They see the giant golden shadow moving in the darkness, feeling death drawing near. Even the survivors, no matter how hard they try to forget, cannot escape the scar left by Gashadokuro in their souls. The eerie silence, the unexplained disappearances of the victims, and the strange sounds that can only come from a bone ghost like Gashadokuro have turned this village into a place of unease. These strange occurrences keep repeating, fueling an ever-present fear, and Gashadokuro remains the nightmare of everyone who lives there. One night, as the darkness enveloped the small village, Kaito, a young man from the village, decided to take a walk through the forest to unwind after a tiring day of work. Everything around him seemed silent, with only the sound of his footsteps echoing through the still air. The feeling of being alone in the night brought him a sense of calm, but the deeper he walked into the forest, the more an inexplicable sensation of unease began to envelop him. Kaito, a brave man by nature, felt a growing discomfort as the darkness thickened and the air became unusually cold. A gust of icy wind blew through, causing him to shiver. It felt as though death was lurking in the dark, waiting. He stopped, holding his breath, sensing a sudden shift in the atmosphere. A faint sound, the soft clinking of bones, echoed in the still night, drawing his attention involuntarily. Suddenly, a massive figure appeared before him. He looked up, but all he could see was a faint silhouette, shrouded in the darkness. The weak light from his flashlight only intensified the terror. The darkness seemed to swallow everything around him, and he felt an immense force moving toward him. In that moment, he realized it was a creature beyond imagination. It was Gashadokuro, the giant bone monster, towering and made of thousands of bones from the dead who had perished in famine and war. He could sense the hatred in its unseen eyes, but he could also feel the overwhelming pain and vengeance that filled the air. Gashadokuro did not speak, yet its presence made the air feel suffocating. Each step it took felt like a blow to Kaito's mind. Suddenly, the darkness thickened even further, as if Gashadokuro was absorbing all the light around it into its massive body. Kaito's heart raced, and a chill deep within his bones surged through him. He wanted to run, to escape this terrifying presence, but his legs felt frozen, as if an invisible force had locked them in place. He took a deep breath, trying to calm himself, and then decided to flee. He turned and sprinted forward, panic surging through him. But just a few steps in, he felt a sudden shift in the air. The giant shadow passed him in an instant. A cold wind slapped his face like a forceful strike. Then, unexpectedly, the sound of bones snapping echoed through the night like a loud explosion. Kaito turned around only to see Gashadokuro standing still, its bones clashing together, creating piercing screeches that made his ears ring in pain. He realized his grave mistake. This colossal shadow was far too fast and powerful, beyond anything he could handle. He ran faster, but just as he thought he might escape, another icy gust blew through, and Kaito felt the presence of Gashadokuro right behind him. The golden shadow gradually enveloped the entire space, pulling him into a nightmarish vortex. In the deepest terror, Kaito realized that he could not escape Gashadokuro. Destruction was imminent, and there was no way out. To end the haunting of Gashadokuro, an ancient ritual must be performed. It is not simply a matter of facing the giant bone monster, but the spirit within it must be released, and the evil bones must be returned to peace. To accomplish this, one must possess enough courage to confront the inescapable curse, performing the ritual of liberation under the moonlight and within the darkness of the forest where Gashadokuro once roamed. However, this ritual is not an easy task. The one performing it must accept every challenge and overcome the looming threat of the colossal shadow and the terrifying fears that come with it. If no one dares to perform the ritual, Gashadokuro will remain forever, continuing to be the curse that threatens all. Its shadow will keep wandering in the dark, causing confusion and death, never finding peace until someone brave enough steps forward to release it from the cycle of vengeance. The story of Gashadokuro serves as a reminder of the haunting power of the past and how resentment can transform into a terrifying force. Sometimes, in order to free ourselves, we must face our fears and confront the darkness within our souls. But the question is, will you dare to acknowledge the pain and find a way to forgive? Or will you let old wounds continue to control your life? True liberation only comes when we have the courage to face the past.